Well, the acronym for it is WLAX or WELAX, but there is nothing lax about the women's lacrosse program here at GCU, and that is where we host in the club to start off this edition. And thank you so much for joining us. I am Jim Howell, the GCU Club Sports Information Director, and the lovely lady that you are watching on your screen is the lady who has taken the women's lacrosse program here at Grand Canyon to unprecedented heights during her 5 years of tenure. She is beginning her 5th season as the head coach for the Lady Lopes, as they like to be called. And she is one of those people that did so many things during her playing days that it was something you couldn't possibly pass up, taking on Tracy Gallihugh as a head coach, because she rewrote a lot of the record books back in Michigan when she was starring for Alma College, an NCAA Division III school. She still holds several scoring records for Michigan all-time scoring. And since she's been here, led the Lopes to a semifinal finish in the Nationals her first year as head coach, and then led them to an unprecedented move to the Division I level for WWLL. So Tracy now can stop blushing because I've said all this great stuff about her. But, you know, one thing that does bring up, Tracy, you had such scoring prowess at Alma College. Then you jump right into coaching. Was that a little bit frustrating at times when you were just starting out, that when you diagrammed a play for your people and they didn't execute it like you thought they'd execute it? It's like, geez, I could do that in my sleep. How much of a transition was that for you from player to coach?
Yeah, the first year and even the first 2 years for sure was definitely a hard transition, just because I'm super competitive too. And being at that level, like I still had the player mindset. So I had a million things going through my head. And half the time, especially being midfield where I see the entire field, I just wanted to be out there and be like, oh, I just want to do it. But so it did take a little bit to transition, but it was a really good transition.
Speaking of that fiery competitiveness, anybody who sees you in the offices or around the GCU campus, they think of you as kind of quiet and shy and all that. You get on the sidelines, and that changes just a bit. You get a little bit more fire in your blood, and it starts pumping. What is it in you that kind of makes that shift to all of a sudden, hey, this is my sideline, and this is what we're going to do to win?
Just in general, I feel like I'm a very focused person. So like when I'm in the office and I'm doing things, like I'm just focused on that thing. Like I have things I have to get done. But athletics has always been such a passion and such a huge part of my life that it's just built and built and built. And the confidence over now 17 years of lacrosse is I just know what I'm talking about, and I can see things in a different way on the lacrosse field than I do in other things in life. So it's just I get super fired up, and I'm like running up and down the sideline, yelling loud. And I tell people all the time, like, I hate public speaking, but you put me on a lacrosse field and I'll talk all day as loud as you want me to.
What is the biggest difference between Tracy Gallihugh year 1 as a Lopes head coach and Tracy Gallihugh year 5?
Well, coming off of being a player and knowing that I was young, I feel like I was a little more serious, and I was still a little more on the NCAA side of things instead of the club side of things. So I had the super competitive, tough coach aspect that I grew up with in the Midwest. And then after that first year, I kind of learned what a club sport needs to nurture and grow to be successful in its own way, both winning games and giving the girls value and a good experience with our program. So just learning that, and then seeing and setting new goals for myself as a coach and for the program kind of transitioned me into, I'm still very competitive, but I'm not focused on just the game. I'm also focused on growing them as individuals and young women, and making sure that they're having a good time, they're feeling valued, they're getting confident, they're growing stronger every day, and everything that they learn on the lacrosse field, they can use in other aspects of their life for the rest of their life.
You said learning on the lacrosse field. Lacrosse is a rapidly growing sport, as we know, all across the country. But for some people that get to GCU, they may have never put a lacrosse net in their hands, and they may look at it and think it's interesting, but they think, well, you know, I can't start this when I'm in college. What's your answer to that?
So it's really cool that even, and I'm not going to say just club, because you'll see this at D3, D2 levels too, because it is such a new sport, that they will accept people that have never played before. And it can be a very daunting sport because there's so many aspects to it. But I tell people all the time, if you just have an athletic background, then it'll be an easy transition, because I can teach someone stick skills all day. Like if they played soccer and they know how to cut and they know the difference between defense and offense and plays and midfields, all they have to learn is stick skills. So if they have just muscle built for athleticism, whether it's running, whether it's strength, whether it's sprinting, whether it's mobility, whatever it is, agility, and if they just have a little bit of an athletic mindset and a little bit of that athletic background, then they'll be able to pick it up really quickly. I've seen soccer players pick it up the easiest because it is so similar. And then I've seen basketball players pick up defense really well. I had a volleyball player pick it up really well. So it is an easy transition if you're dedicated, passionate about sports in general, and just have a general athletic background.
You look at this coming season. Obviously, you've had a lot of curveballs thrown at you in the last 6 months. In fact, you lost part of your season last year. And because you lost those games and you've got those returners coming back, how much hungrier do you sense your kids are going into this season because maybe they feel a little deprived from last year?
I think that they're definitely more hungry this year than they have been in the past, but it's not just the returners. All my incoming freshmen have been super eager to just get to campus and get to playing, because those are the seniors who didn't even get a season at all. So they're 6 months later wanting to get back at it. And it does really, really suck, and it's really, really sad. But sometimes you have to miss the sport to remember why you're playing and get your passion back. So I also think for the returners that we ended on such a high note, that we beat ASU for the first time in the history,
Woo-hoo.
ending on that, yeah. And then not getting to host playoffs when they were like on a streak. It was just such a good extra motivator and inspiration. Like they can do this and they know they have to put in the work for it.
Well, Tracy has certainly set the table for you. Now the question is, do you want to eat off of it? If you're interested in women's lacrosse, there's plenty of ways to get involved, including their Twitter and Instagram pages, and they have their own dedicated page on our website. That is clubsports.gcu.edu. Just hit that drop-down menu, and you'll find women's lacrosse, not just the descriptions and schedules, but you'll also find a little bio on Tracy and a little button next to her that says contact me, and you can find out information from her directly. Women's lacrosse and men's lacrosse, two of our strongest programs for club sports. And so if you're interested in getting a hold of Jeff Guy or the men's lacrosse program, there's the ways you can also get it on your screen. Tracy Gallihugh, thank you so much for being a part of this edition of In the Club, which is now in the books. And so until next time, we will see you later.